Hello and welcome to the camera comparison between the Galaxy S21 and the Galaxy Z Flip 3. Two phones released in 2021, and we're going to start by comparing the selfie camera here. You can see how the Z Flip 3 does not have autofocus, while the S21 even provides a slight bokeh, showing that it can focus at any range. You can see that my eye is still in focus here, while on the Z Flip 3 it is not. In terms of colors, they look mostly the same. I guess in broad sunlight there's not much of a difference. There might be a difference in a little bit when I go to low light later tonight. But yeah, let's continue the comparison. Here you can see how the S21 selfie camera is better than the Z Flip 3's inner selfie camera. You can see how the colors are much more natural and not as saturated, and the darker parts have more details. Meanwhile, the Z Flip 3 kind of crushes the darker parts of the scene, but that is to be expected as it's not supposed to be a great selfie camera, since most of the times you're going to be using the outer camera. Continuing this trend, you can see how the S21 treats my skin much more naturally, whereas it's kind of pinkish on the Z Flip. Same goes for the background, it's a bit more saturated, and that's not all. You can notice when I zoom in that my skin, and actually all the hair on my face, is much more present on the S21 due to the autofocus. Sure, you're not always going to use the inner selfie camera on your Z Flip, but sometimes you need it, and the lack of autofocus kinda sucks. Okay, so here's a video at 4K 30. Just a reminder that all the videos are being recorded at this resolution in this video. And, I mean, oftentimes the colors pop a bit more on the S21. I don't know if it's the screen. I gotta take a look at that later in the video when I'm editing it. Let's zoom in a little bit here into that phone number. Oops. And yeah, you can clearly see the over sharpening on the, not even the over sharpening, just a lack of resolution actually on the Z Flip. Meanwhile, the 64 megapixel crop is working quite well for the S21, at least during daytime. Now I'm going to be comparing the zoom lens on the S21 to the digital zoom on the Z Flip 3, and I mean, you can clearly see that by zooming in, the Z Flip 3 is going to lose because, I mean, digital zoom will never compare to optical zoom. What's funny is that, let me max out the zoom here. The zoom on the S21 also isn't technically optical. It's actually just a 64 megapixel lens that provides, better digital crop. They used to call it a hybrid zoom, but it really isn't any zoom at all. But it looks much better, of course, than the 12 megapixel sensor that we got on the Z Flip 3. Now, for a few more photos here, you can see how the S21 sometimes offers very muted colors. It seems like it just lowers the contrast a bit more than I would like. It seems like there's like a gray filter over the entire screen. I checked to see if the lens were dirty, but nope, they were completely clean. It just seems like some kind of a processing pipeline for the photos. Okay, here's another video. I'm gonna zoom into the 5G cell tower up there and see more details on the S21, and I mean the difference is quite stark actually. You can clearly see much more of the cables on the S21, while the Z Flip is just a blurry mess, honestly. Zooming out, colors are mostly the same, but the HDR on the S21 is just, oops, much better. I mean, the sky is much more blue, although, I mean, to be honest, the sky is kind of pale, just like on the Z Flip. I think the S21 is overcompensating. Or maybe it's the screen. I recently reset this phone, and maybe I didn't set the screen to natural tone. It's probably still on vivid colors, so that might be the difference. Because the Z Flip 3 is looking a bit more true to life here. Look at that little bird. Little orangish yellow bird. You can see it much clearly. On the S21, seems like it's picking something off the grass. And yeah, that's enough for zoom, I guess. If I point the camera at the sun, both look pretty good, I guess. good enough for a phone being pointed at direct sunlight. I mean, the HDR on both phones is just excellent. It's just mostly down to like the resolution of the camera, the sensor isn't as great on the Z Flip, so during nighttime the photos will look a bit worse. And also, funny enough, the Z Flip does not have that feature Samsung added where you can like zoom into stuff, and there's like that zoom in audio where it's gonna focus the microphone on whatever you're zooming into. The Z Flip just doesn't have that, so I'm not really gonna test it today because it doesn't make sense to do so. Now for a quick look at the selfie portraits, they're honestly both very similar. The cutouts are excellent, and it just comes down to autofocus, honestly. Okay, so now testing out the ultra wide lens. Yeah, you can clearly see that the S21 wins. I mean, just look at the sky. It's completely blown out on the Z Flip 3. I'm not sure if it's a different lens or if it has a different camera overall or a different sensor, but it just looks terrible on the S23. I do not like taking ultra wide photos on this. And that's kind of weird because like they only included 2 lenses and they chose an ultra wide over the zoom lens, and the ultra wide kind of sucks. Yeah, if I zoom into the sky, both look pretty okay. I mean, the colors are pretty crushed, all black on the Z Flip because of the lack of resolution. But yeah, overall the ultra wide lens on the Z Flip is just not good, and it looks terrible on the viewfinder too. Like when I'm taking a photo, for some reason the photos overall look bad on the Z Flip 3. They're all kind of fuzzy until you see the final photo processed, and then it looks pretty good. Now I'm going to be trying portrait selfie video on both cameras, and one thing I noticed is that usually the Z Flip 3, when it comes to still portraits, not video, it takes longer to process them, and I mean it takes longer to process photos overall. Which is funny because my Z Flip is has a Snapdragon in it, while my S21 is the Exynos version. So the Exynos is supposed to heat up, but I mean it does, but not as much as my Z Flip. And the throttling is, I mean, as I just said, is much more present on the Z Flip 3. Probably because of the hinge, I guess, limits the thermal management a lot. One last zoom test here. I found these pillars here and thought it would be pretty fun to just zoom into them. And as you can see, the same result as always. The Z Flip 3 looks much better. You can take a look at the chair, at the pillars, and at the palm in the back. And yeah, now I'm just gonna take a few more photos, and I'm gonna honestly shut up and just show a ton of photos. See how videos in general just look more radical and less rich when it comes to the colors. Just look at how much better the S21 videos look for life. Thanks for staying till the end of the video. Don't forget to like and maybe interact in the comment section, and if you would like more videos like this, subscribe.